Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We filmed this at about 1 a.m, so by the time we finished, we were yawning. So hope you enjoy.
Right.
Jack, you are absolute expert on ancient aliens and everything to do with the ancient world. You absolutely killed it in the last podcast with the secret societies and the hierarchies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Immense wealth of knowledge
Thank you.
right here. And yeah, dude. I love having you on. There's always something new that you say that just blows my mind.
Jack is so articulate as well. He's so well versed and so well researched. So I love listening to you. Yeah. Honestly,
appreciate it. Once again, man, it comes from a place of passion, and definitely in this era of just questioning bullshit. And I liked your point earlier about the kind of mainstream idea of education and what we're told to accept. And part of my deep interest in ancient cultures and stuff from 4,000 years ago plus is that nobody knows. And if you say you know, you actually don't. You're talking out your ass. And so the mysteries, the ancient mysteries, coupled with, which I'd like to talk about today, examples of credible cases of UFO sightings from ancient cultures, as well as, injected into their very being and the way they live. It's just like they came from sky beings or something of that rather. It definitely becomes a thing. So like myself, like I'm super into ancient cultures, especially ancient Egypt and some of the great mysteries of like how the structures were even built. But largely, if we're talking about looking for UFOs with credible, weight to them, it's if a bunch of people saw what appeared to be a craft of some kind, some sort of mechanical thing in an era well before planes were even a concept. So how do you explain that?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I do have some great examples today. One from ancient Japan, which was actually documented by a well-known ninja family.
Wow. Ancient Japan,
with images to basically substantiate and make you go, we've definitely got one of those. And also, you probably heard of the Dogon tribe. If you've watched like Ancient Aliens like once, you've probably heard of the Dogon tribe.
Yep.
For those that haven't,
the Dogon tribe, a group of tribesmen who took their lineage from ancient Egypt but moved to West Africa, Mali, actually. And these tribes people have a very peculiar knowledge of the star called Sirius B, which they thought they came from. They were from multiple star systems, but they believe their beings, the people that seeded them, came from Sirius B.
Interesting.
What's very interesting is that Sirius B was discovered by them well before Western science discovered them, before the telescope was invented, and they confirmed it only in the 70s that this star even existed. So that's something we can talk about.
And the Dogons are how old? Go back thousands of years?
Oh, I mean, they settled in Mali in 1050 AD. So that's, 1,000 years ago, but they came from ancient Egypt. Like that's their lineage. So
I saved a clip somewhere in my bookmarks. I bookmark freaking everything on X.
Yeah.
And it was a photo of a book, and it showed all of the faces of every single known species across the universe. And we should definitely put that up on the screen at some point while you're talking about this, so people can really like see these cultures. Because you said what reminded me is that you said Sirius B.
Yeah.
Well, there is literally a race from a species from Sirius B that I've got a photo of that it'd be and crazily, a lot of these species are very humanoid in appearance. Humans are probably the prettiest looking by a long country mile. Everybody else looks weird and way more similar than how humans look compared to the other species, but all the other species look somewhat like each other.
Yeah.
And we're really pretty. Like a lot more in what's the word I'm looking for? When it's like everything's in scale.
That's probably why Enki fell for
proportion.
Yeah.
Like eyes are in proportion, nose in proportion.
There are some races that look so
symmetrical.
I found a photo. I'll just show it to you, Jack. But that's like a photo of a book.
Yeah.
Wow. But I'll send that to you to put up on the screen.
See that on camera. Essentially, you've got alien races that if you were at a costume party in Vegas, you might walk by and not blink. But if you really just suddenly stopped and looked at that person, you'd kind of go,
elongated skull.
Like that person looks a bit different.
Yeah.
Where are the eyebrows, for example, or or the skin is just an impossible tone.
I see
certain cases have mentioned these meetings. Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the industry, the alien industry, that have said that they walk among us. Like Jim Semivan, who was he was like the head of CIA for many years. He famously has said, they would be a neighbor, and you would never know.
Yeah, you would. Yeah,
never know, because a lot of them have the ability to
Shapeshift.
Yeah,
Like
so this is where you put your fucking tinfoil hat on. But I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing to believe. Like the more into this topic you become, the more open you are to like, okay, that's a thing that can happen. If we're talking about, the different planes of existence and the ability to telekinesis and to have telepathy, and okay, so how far fetched is shapeshifting then? If that's what we're talking about,
it's not that
pretty
far-fetched,
similar.
man.
Yeah,
They're talking about aliens that can walk through walls and spacecrafts that can materialize through mountains. So if they can do that, then
yeah. And just for the record, this sort of stuff we're talking about is not really the stuff of science fiction. This is stuff that is sort of proven even on a subatomic level, that particles can be in multiple places at once, for example.
that's right.
And we don't know why. There's spooky action at a distance, they call it. So the fact that these things are coming up pretty often from science fiction and we're starting to prove it is pretty interesting.
It means that we're in the kind of right direction going towards it.
Yeah. And like, you got to have an open mind. You really do have to have an open mind because, things are only going to get crazier, especially in this world of AI. So,
definitely in this world of AI, man.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they're more present now, because essentially we're creating digital God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're probably curious to see what's going on with us. Because,
or maybe they've been on this stepping stone before and they're kind of like, well, shit, remember when we were there?
Yeah.
Like, this is where things are going to get interesting.
Good entertainment for them as well. So,
yeah. This is the jumping off point.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Very interesting time to be alive, I'd say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, should we open these fucking chips up? I want to actually taste them.
Yeah, grab it.
Yeah, that's bad.
Oh, shit.
But, dude, that Pentage case is fucking wild, man.
They're like burger
Yeah,
rings.
Yeah. They're pretty much burger rings, huh?
They got MSG in them. They're good.
I love MSG.
Are they crunchy?
Burger rings.
Look at the shape.
little UFOs.
Ezekiel's wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Jack, you've got plenty to show us, man. Let's dive into yours.
That's
Okay.
good.
Well, since we're pretty much balls deep into UFO stuff, we might as well go to the Japan case.
Jack, take us away,
All
my
right.
guy.
So you guys
We're
want to
going to
Japan or
Japan,
Egypt first? Where
guys.
do you want to land?
Go Japan first.
Let's go to Japan first.
Yeah.
Because it's so random and interesting, and people probably haven't heard
Yep.
too much about Japan, eh?
Absolutely. So,
Alrighty. Take us on a journey, Jack.
So, look, this is a really, really interesting case because, like I said, this really goes back to the notion that we want credible cases, not just from modern times, but from ancient times to confirm the phenomena of UFOs is really, really a thing. Namely, from reputable sources in the past that we can 100% say happened and had multiple eyewitnesses. One of the best collection of cases comes from the case of the Utsurobune UFO legends from 1803, which is the famous Edo period of Japan when, say, Japan was in this point of unification where the samurai were no longer relevant. Last Samurai is set during this time. We have a lot of cases from that. So a lot of Western correspondence in this time as well. So Utsurobune means hollow ship. So essentially there are a sequence of sightings from all across Japan, especially in coastal areas, of these strange ships which appear to land on shore and within them contain strange beings. The work of Tanaka Kazuo, a professor at Gifu University in Japan, has pretty much pledged his life to collect all these accounts, and they are absolutely wild. So the traditions of hollow ships comes from these collection of stories called Toen Shotetsu. That's my terrible Japanese pronunciation, but that's how it is. So essentially through a bunch of recorded documents, we have evidence of many interesting craft landings, written in beautiful Japanese art style with hieroglyphs and all kinds of things on the crafts themselves. And for instance, this is what we're seeing here, this image of a craft here next to a woman. Because the case here, as it's written down, is that in one of the more famous cases, written and documented most of all by a ninja, hailing from the family of write the name here. So the Bank family, the Bank document, Banke being Banke, is a ninja family, figurehead of this prominent family. recorded the case of a craft that landed. And the popular idea is that a princess came out of it, a bodhisattva, essentially an Indian
A bodhisattva.
bodhisattva. Yeah, that's they recorded. So they said
Hectic.
a saint had
What's
come
going
down, a saint, or a female saint or a goddess, essentially landed on these shores in this strange hollow craft.
How do you not only know that
That's hectic.
word, but you know how to pronounce that word? What is
A
that?
bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you talking to me?
He's talking to me.
Or everybody, but also mostly
You're talking to me?
because you said it. Like
Oh, I mean,
fucking
I'm-
bodhisattva,
Bro.
Yeah,
and you're like,
bodhisattva down
in the pub,
mate.
Bro,
And then,
like you, I was getting stoned watching Alan Watts videos since I was
most likely, I think that's
Fucking
where definitely, that's Alan Watts,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
bodhisattva. Yeah, he
Yeah.
said that. Living
So,
in.
just for the record, a bodhisattva is actually a very interesting. It's a saintly figure. It's someone well above a god, but has done because he's done that through literal willpower from being a mortal being and just lived a very virtuous life. And instead of going to heaven, they decided to stay on earth to help people reach enlightenment.
That's a very honest living.
Yeah, very honest living.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ would be considered a bodhisattva by that standard,
Superstar,
right?
mate.
Yeah, he doesn't have
JC.
like he can go to heaven anytime, but he's just like, let's just stick around. So, there was many, and they're actually worshipped in temples. And so this one is the Princess Konjiki, in this case, sort of explained in the Bankei document, saying this woman arrived in a vessel, but she spoke a language no one could understand at all. And she was quite ill, and she was carrying a strange and magical box. And so there's nothing else said about this other than I think it could literally be an assumption based on myth, and there were many temples devoted to her in that area. But what I want you to pay attention to is the various cases of the craft that she came in on. So this is clearly not an oceanic craft we're seeing here on the right here.
Oh, no.
In fact, we're seeing something what do you think it looks like, guys?
looks like a fucking UFO that visited Penturk in Wales in 2016.
Interesting triangular bottom there.
Yep.
But yeah,
It's almost like a little diamond kind of.
They even got portholes.
yeah, and they look metallic, like metallic portholes as well,
Yeah.
with interesting kind of manufactured parts to them, especially the circle on the right. That looks like it's kind of got these lines, sort of like
Etchings.
which to me looks kind of more machine-like than anything I would have seen in the samurai era of that time. So yeah, very weird, very weird. Something more like out of Da Vinci's sketches than anything I've seen, on horseback.
Very crispy edges as well. Like, so it just cuts through the air very quickly.
Yep.
It looks
Yep.
like that thing can just go into the water with ease and
Yep.
just like go
Yep.
wherever it wants, man.
Very strange. And so they call them hollow ships because these things open up and this woman came out of it, and it's this massive, massive thing that is more submarine-like than any kind of ship.
Out of curiosity, is there any scale to this?
Um,
You say massive, but in this photo alone,
Good.
if-
I was gonna say.
yeah,
that.
like
I
I
was gonna
say,
ask
this
you.
woman is the same size as it. Like, is this
Yeah.
just because it can't fit on the page? You know, they can't sort of articulate the scale of this thing. So
I need
is there
that little
anything
scale thing in the
recorded
corner,
about it?
50 meters, 100 meters.
I think the Japanese art style. You can look at the images. Scale is not strongly represented. Often a figure can be seen bigger than a wave.
Is it the size of like a Toyota Hilux or? No, I'm just joking.
But we've seen the images of samurai and stuff like that, or various images. It's like scale isn't necessarily the greatest. They're
No,
not trying to.
no.
Yeah,
They don't really show it much.
yeah. I mean, maybe they do in some cases, but it looks like they're on two separate pages almost. It's almost like it's trying to describe her in isolation.
Yeah,
separate from the
way
craft?
that. Yeah.
Look, I can't read Japanese, so someone who knows Japanese can probably do better than me. But what I
feel
want
like
to bring you, I'd like to bring you to the next image.
Anyone
in
got
this
an
case.
Android phone? You can Google it.
I was just gonna
Google
say, just
Translate.
take a photo and put it in ChatGPT, and
Yeah.
then it'll come up with like the AI. It'll probably be wrong.
Yeah, 100%. So look, you can read about it in detail. This is the work of Tanaka Kazuo.
Yep. Do you want
So essentially, there's strong ties that there was a really famous death cult in Japan that did some subway attacks of biological materials. I forget what they're.
subway attacks?
Do you hear about these? Even Ancient Aliens actually covers the this case. So the Aum Shinkuru cult, they led biological attacks in some subways in Japan. They killed a lot of people. What's really interesting about this cult is that they were all part of the scientific elite. They were once, but they literally just so quote unquote drunk the Kool-Aid and joined this cult. And they all believed so and so that they were getting messages from alien beings. In this case, so strange.
What makes you 180 that hard into murder unless it's such a
Saki.
Too much hentai.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, what could it like? And this is
What's going
easy
on
to
there?
say, like, oh yeah, they're just crazy, they're cult like. But I mean, what could make you switch like that?
so-
Aliens
And
are-
if you're an elite academic
Hmm.
and something so profound happens to you, like literal messages from other beings to murder, like
Yeah,
there's something to butt into there.
They're getting it. Well, they're getting it from the crazy cult leader, so it's not necessarily they're not getting it direct from.
See, that's where I go wrong with people is like, I'm like, if you're susceptible enough to be like another human being, see, I don't know, maybe it's a self-confidence thing, but I'm like,
Yeah.
no normal guy is going to make me go, like, I don't revere other people because other people are other people.
They're
You know,
everyone's
like,
themselves.
I need to see a god-like figure for me to be like on my knees in awe, right?
Yeah.
But another bloke being like, all right, guys, so fucking get in the subway and kill some buggers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're an idiot at this point. You're a fucking moron. Like,
Okay,
make an
well-
own decision for yourself.
Well, I mean, it's a dark story with many different complex things to go into. That could even be a whole separate podcast.
So
on
that thing at the
cults.
top that's the same depiction. The lady's holding a box. They got
Well,
that circle.
This is from another document describing similar phenomena. In this case, this is not a lady. This is actually a
She's holding a box though.
this is a vassal of a powerful daimyo. So this has actually become a tradition to actually talk about this, but in a different way.
What's interesting is the image is actually very similar.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because like
Yeah.
just the window on that first image versus this image now are identical.
Yeah, and it's also seen above.
It's a wooden box as well.
Well, also, what kind of ship is above her head if it's in the shores as well?
It's the same inscriptions. Obviously, they didn't fill it with that metallic kind of stuff, but the lines are the same. It's showing it's like crispy,
Yeah,
middle
It's-
part, and then it's got the same 3 holes in the top
yeah.
with the circle at the top as well.
It's-
So it's
it-
consistent.
It resembles nothing of a Japanese or Chinese or Indian vessel.
No, not at all.
that
But you got to
time.
remember, Japan's right next to the Pacific,
Yeah,
and aliens would be more inclined to visit the Japanese than they would China. I'm guessing.
we also got to realize Japan was very isolationist for a very long time. They didn't
Of
let foreigners
course.
in until
Yeah.
this time.
And
so,
the Mongolians, when they went around the world killing
Yeah.
everyone, the
Yeah.
only place they didn't go was Japan because they were shit scared of the samurai.
I would be.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Is that true? Like, yeah.
Yeah,
They didn't want to take them on.
Japan was the only country they didn't fuck with.
Jeez, yeah, because they really meant it. And so this is the most interesting. This is one of the most interesting images here, because here we have now a man holding the box. So this is obviously a retelling, but just given a different light. But notice how much more manufactured the look of this image of this craft is.
They're getting better drawing techniques.
Yeah, I'm also going to be more inclined to think that this is just another rendition. It's rather than the manufacturing of the actual craft changes. It's just more like the guy's perspective illustrating it.
Yeah, but I'll point you here to quote unquote quotations in Japanese here describing what appear to be symbols which do not look Japanese.
That does not look Japanese whatsoever.
No, they're very vastly different.
Yeah, and what do you see? I mean, that does look pretty alien too, right?
Yep, that looks like.
But at the
similar
same time,
kind of
familiar.
petroglyphs
Like,
from,
I know a triangle, I know circles, I know lines.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
funny how it can be interpreted as alien, but it's very
Yeah,
human.
or definitely alien to Japan. To me, that looks. What does that look like? Cuneiform
Yeah,
potentially.
that's what I was thinking. You see some inscriptions that look similar, especially that middle one with the 2 circles, then the line and the line going across.
Yeah,
The Gosford glyphs, something similar to the Gosford
Guys,
glyphs.
I watched enough Play School to know the circle, the arch, the triangle, like that stuff is,
yeah.
1995.
Grade 3 shit, bro.
Grade-
Right there. It's
Yeah.
preschool shit. It's before
Yeah.
school, cuz.
That's-
Getting them triangles done, brother.
100%. All right, and now I know my ABCs.
That's it, brother. Ready for uni.
Yep. So, look, just food for thought, and there's quite a
No,
few other
it's-
images here we're seeing.
See those symbols again? They're not Japanese. The ones on top of that circle,
Yeah.
they're not Japanese. They're external symbols. So where are they? How are they? Where are they coming from? Like you said, Japan's fully isolated, bro.
Yeah. It looks to me like this is the witnesses of people trying to comprehend what they saw.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a lot more like details as to the history, but these images are nonetheless compelling.
Wow.
They're enough to at least get you interested to actually look into the case of historical UFOs.
Yeah. So this is the biggest UFO event that's happened in Japan.
Well, yeah, I mean,
By the
it's
sounds of it.
wrapped in with a lot of folklore. So, I mean, how much of it is true, I can't verify, but these images are nonetheless compelling. These symbols, which to me are not foreign to Japanese, foreign to most languages I've ever seen,
Yep.
paired up with ship or naval vessel I've never seen in my life, or haven't seen yet even, and looks more like a flying object that we've just spoken of for the last hour.
Unusually flavored objects.
Unusually flavored object chips. Yeah.
I don't know how tasty that is, but
But also another thing is to mention that a lot of UFO experiences are paired up with religious experiences, and this is a religious case where they're describing an angelic-like figure, a bodhisattva in this case, and it's more like an angel appearing. This is like a phenomenon being described rather than someone just arrives on the shores and gets in the boat and goes down the river.
that's such a crazy picture.
It's weird. It's really weird.
It is. Go Japan. They finally got like a UFO. I didn't even
Thanks
know
for showing us.
I didn't even know that Japan had anything like that. So it's interesting. And
Every culture across the globe has had some sort of, whether it be the story of the Ark and the Younger Dryas event,
that's a huge one.
all the way to depicted references to UFOs.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the 1556 tapestry. Forgive me, I think it was out of Hamburg or some shit like that, Germany.
Oh yeah, the one with the aliens in the background.
Yeah, and it's literally like a mothership fighting triangles and circles.
Yeah.
Type it in so people can see the
huge
image.
Black triangle. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this permeates across every single decade, every single century.
1555, did you say?
56.
Yeah.
1556. Could be 1557 though. I don't know. It's one of the two.
Yeah, it looks like something out of Star Wars.
Just say Alien Hamburg Tapestry. Alien Tapestry.
Yeah, it looks like some absolute Star Wars shit.
There it
looks
is.
so crazy.
Boom. 1561. Okay, I was neither or. So zoom in and have a look at that. What the hell? It shows the town on
Intergalactic
fire.
punch-ons cars.
Yeah.
It shows different craft of, varying shapes
Yeah.
fighting in the sky.
Some like crosses, which to me ties to religious experiences of when people have seen giant crosses in the sky. And
But it could also mean Star Wars X-wings for all we know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
They may have
doesn't
interpreted it as
that looks like the same thing in Japan, but
Yeah.
it just didn't have those two on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I've been trying to compare those symbols to the Roswell symbols, and they don't really look too similar either. But
1550.
Hey, it'd be really cool to find out is the Roswell symbols and the Rendlesham Forest incident have the same hieroglyphics.
what do they?
I'm saying if they do.
If they
It'd
did?
be cool to see if they did.
Oh yeah. As in, she looks up and if she saw any symbols underneath the craft.
Well, I'm specifically thinking like are you talking about the Rendlesham Forest incident?
Rendlesham. Yeah.
Well, it was landed and it was on the side of the ship.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was confusing that with the Pentridge one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
But what was cool about Rendlesham is that these images were like burned into his mind to the point so vividly that he actually wrote them down in his book.
You should
Exactly how they were.
Nathan, you should explain this one for the audience.
yeah, definitely give us a background because a lot of people won't know.
Yep. I'm worried that I've already said this on the podcast, but nonetheless, just for fresh,
Just a quick
I'll just do
recap.
that.
Yep.
Quick recaps. It's Rendlesham Forest incident is in Rendlesham, the UK, is a US Army base, and these there was essentially like a base alert that went out and saying, hey, we've got this unidentified object in our airspace, and the base commander was notified multiple times. Hey, it's moving over here. It's landing over there. Blah 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 blah. And then visually, they saw it land in a clearing somewhere in the forest because they're surrounded by thick woodland, essentially. Yeah. And essentially, they went out with a team. The commander was on radio, and the three guys that actually went out to the craft, they saw it in a clearing, and it was small. It was actually like a strangely small craft. It wasn't a big craft. It wasn't a saucer.
Little minion crafts.
While I'm talking, just try and type in because there's a monument to it. Like at the site, there's they've made.
What do you call it?
Rendlesham. So it's spelled phonetically. I couldn't even tell you. Rendell. There's a L and a H somewhere in it.
It's one of my favorite cases, this one.
Yeah.
Rendlesham
There's the war memorial. Click into it. There it is.
Yeah.
What's going on here, cuz? That's like a alien spacecraft.
And there's even try and get a zoomed out photo so you can kind of see the scale and the size of it. But like it's again, even this sculpture wouldn't be to scale. It would be somewhat similar. But like that is exactly how they described it to a pretty accurate degree.
Well, the shape is not unlike what we just saw with the Japanese ones. I feel like
What
it could
is
be in
going on
that. I
here,
feel like
man?
it could be in that wheelhouse.
But yeah, so basically they get to the clearing and it was buzzing with like this red energy and visibility to it, and it was profoundly out of this world in terms of the way they felt when they went around the craft. The craft felt out of this world because they have never seen anything like it. It was buzzing their entire senses across the base, you know, making everything go crazy. If I'm not mistaken, it's a nuclear base as well. So they're like super worried about security, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, one of them touched it. And essentially he was like shot back and he was KO'd. And then the craft itself like sort of like came back to life, and because it sort of like it was sitting there steaming and kind of just
You
like
got knocked the
hissing.
fuck out.
Steaming.
Woke up the
Yeah.
alien, triggered like some kind of like a response, probably.
Just start speaking in fluent Mandarin.
Yeah.
Like
doing,
when
my
people get
engine?
like knocked out by lightning, go into a coma and start speaking in Mandarin is a real thing that has
It has
happened.
happened, yeah. It
Wow.
has,
Yeah.
it has.
So
That's
basically,
crazy.
and they've never had training in it. So like, what happened there? Like, what? How does this
Yeah.
happen? That's
After
crazy.
surgery as well.
Yeah. And so basically he ends up having these flashbacks. This particular colonel has a few flashbacks where, because he saw the craft, when he was up close to it, he noticed that there was inscriptions across the entire thing. It was just covered in symbols and hieroglyphics essentially. And yeah, it left a remarkable impact on them to the point where they were going to veterinary affairs for disability payments because of the radiation poisoning. Gary Nolan, famous Stanford professor,
He's
Gary
a
Nolan.
Good doctor. The good
Well,
doctor.
he's like, you know, he's like the go-to in the fields of biology. Essentially, he's like the go-to guy.
Well, he dealt with a lot of the people that had radiation issues and lost all their hair, and you know the close
Anything
contact.
to do with contacts, UFO contacts.
He's straight,
and
he's
he
the
wasn't
first person.
He wasn't like that. Wasn't his field was UFOs. He was just like a tenured Stanford professor, and obviously the best in his field. And they were like, hey, by the way, this is like back in 2018, 2019. They were like, hey,
Barber's close.
so we've
with
got
him.
some pretty crazy things we want you to look into, and that's like a lot of the cases of, I think they call it close encounter, CE4
Yeah.
is like when you come intact with alien anything.
Yep.
And they've got a lot of adverse effects. You know, we're talking radiation poisoning. We're talking like, you know, 6-degree burns, like crazy
The
shit
hell's
happening
a
to people.
6-degree burn, bro?
Exactly my point. Like just crazy shit.
It's like
Chinese burns.
it's
yeah.
like it's burned into your DNA. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mutations.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all kinds of crazy things. Going blind, like, you know, losing hearing, losing taste. Like name an ailment, a symptom. This is what this guy has
It's
now
just
become.
The newest, craziest fucking illnesses, because you're exposing yourself to like this new thing that no one's been exposed to yet.
Well,
So the
funnily
body's
enough,
reacting
it's
in weird
mostly
ways.
radiation. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest common
It's
denominator.
gamma radiation, or
Yeah.
just
I
all
don't know.
kinds. All kinds.
I'm regurgitating.
It's pretty
science as a
exceedingly
bro, I
rare
don't
just to be like,
know.
I just ran into an area where I just copped like enough gamma radiation to like give me cancer, like, or just, you know, like it's a very special case. It's like,
Yeah, of
were you
course.
were you inside a nuclear reactor?
Were you Chernobylized?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Chernobylized.
Were you Chernobylized?
These people are getting Chernobylized, and Gary Nolan's doing his best to save them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. Well, Jack explains the Dogon tribe
Yeah.
because Jack's still got to go through a few things. We've still got.
Yeah, I mean, look, take your pick. You want to hear about the Dogon? We probably heard about the Dogon. People are somewhat familiar with them.
Yep.
So look, the Dogon tribe are really interesting in that they have a very advanced cosmology. They understand many subtle things. People have even speculated they have like intricate ideas about cell division and DNA and all these kinds of things
Wow, that's
encoded
crazy.
within their mythologies and in their descriptions, which are pretty much one-to-one with what you see in a telescope. The great documentary Magical Egypt with John Anthony West has a whole episode dedicated to the Dogon, even though
Yeah.
they're in Mali in Western Africa.
They came from Egypt.
They came
yeah.
from Egypt, and whatever they had, they took with them. And there are some similarities in their myths in that parallel the ancient Egyptians. They believe 8 beings, like the 8 beings of Egypt themselves, like the watchers, the great ones, like the main gods. Basically started life on Earth. But what makes the Dogon really, really interesting is that, yes, they settled in Western Mali, West Africa in Mali in 1050 AD. What makes them really interesting is that they have a very, very strong recognition of the star Sirius B, in which they believe their beings had come from. So Sirius B is I think close to the Pleiades star system, I believe. And they worshipped it. And they believed people came down in egg-like vessels, like the Nomo, they're called. The Nomo came down and seeded life on Earth. Yep. And they essentially gave them the art of harvesting knowledge, building their villages, all kinds of things. So they essentially started civilization.
Similar things that they say Thoth brought.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And they also said there were fish-like beings who couldn't spend too long out of water, which is also very similar to the Sumerian myth about Oannes, the god Oannes, who came out of the waters as a fish-like being, taught them advanced sciences and agriculture, then fucked off. And so the same case is said in Africa, which is really, really interesting. So what we're seeing here, what we're looking at here, could look pretty innocuous, but what we're actually seeing is the Dogon, essentially the Dogon astronomy mapping out precisely where the different star systems are.
Wow.
So in the West, you have, I think, Pleiades. I think you have Sirius B somewhere in there as well. I don't have the notes on hand to tell you exactly what each of these symbols mean, but all of it is contained within the giant egg. They believe the universe started within an egg, and then beings came down in eggs and seeded life. Just to paraphrase. So eggs are very, very important in all kind of creation myths. Like you can go to Greece and they talk about the cosmic egg, and the Big Bang. They believe was all matter, all life started in a very small concentration. They say the size of a pea or something like that, which
an egg.
To me sounds egg-like.
Yeah.
And so to me that has a strong correspondence to this idea that myths could actually hide scientific truths.
The Dogon schematic of the egg of the world.
The egg of the world. Yep. And so, people say, oh, don't look to myth to explain scientific truths or truths about reality. It's kind of made up. It's from the dreaming. It's from people maybe under certain hallucinatory states, and so they're not thinking rationally. Okay, so they're like, okay, so Sirius B is there, we come from there, and it's positioned in the sky exactly here, and we actually know its orbits. And that wasn't actually confirmed until it was discovered first. They sighted Sirius B and Sirius A as well, orbiting each other through a telescope, I think from one of the earliest astronomers at that time to use a telescope in 1862. But it wasn't confirmed until the 1970s that the star actually existed and this orbit actually occurred. And the Dogon actually, to complete accuracy, understood that it orbited over 50 years and they could position it in the sky in that 50-year period.
And they knew this 1,000 years ago.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is also another interesting correspondence. If you're really into the Hermetic stuff and how there's you can find the universe in a grain of sand and things like that, there's levels, there's above, so below.
Yes.
The sense that they called the star, they called Sirius B Portolo. So Po means heavy.
Yep.
Tolo means star.
Heavy star.
So heavy star, meaning,
Sirius
but Portolo is also, so Po is actually a type of cereal they have that's very heavy and dense that you can essentially eat and you're full. So Portolo means it's like cereal star, heavy star.
Grain.
Grain.
Which they help them store.
And so the correspondence I'm saying there is that they understood that Sirius B was a white dwarf, which is a very small, heavy, dense star.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm
describing
in relation between Sirius A and Sirius B, what's going on with Sirius B? It's a small dwarf star that's probably spent a lot of its energy, but it's super dense now.
Super dense. And so they made that correspondence to what's on Earth.
How would they know that 1,000 years ago? You know what I mean? How crazy is that?
They said aliens seeded them. So
yeah.
Call it what you want to call it. But you can see from their really extravagant tribal wear, it's even weird among African tribes if you go all the way to the top.
The top.
Even the type of extravagant color and type of outfit they're wearing, it is rather exotic even to African tribes.
Well, purple is actually a very hard color to get.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting that
Blue's harder.
Blue is harder. Yeah.
That's why that's why they call it royal blue.
it was always
Because the royals were the only ones fit enough to wear a color that does not exist on Earth naturally.
Purple's also pretty special.
purple is
Yeah.
also a royal color based on the same principle.
Mm.
Purple and royal blue are very similar.
Yeah, it's definitely shamanic. If you're wearing purple,
sure,
it means
for
you're you know, like Merlin's wizard robe is always seen as purple.
Yeah.
Like it's a shamanic
Yeah,
color.
because the only way they could get that color was somewhere in Saudi Arabia. There was a certain crustacean they had to crush up to get
Yeah.
that purple color.
Yeah.
And I don't know, through the Indian spice trade or the Silk Road, they were able to get some of that, but it was so rare that no one had purple or royal blue.
Yeah. Well, blue
just
is
nuts.
actually alchemical in a lot of cases. You know, the Egyptians actually created it for their temples, and they don't know how they created it prior.
From the
Yeah.
blue lotus flower, potentially.
With the compounds mixing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
To see that
Crazy,
there's
huh?
still remnants of it now.
Just for textiles, just to get color.
Yeah.
And now I
Yeah.
just go to the Bunnings and get the tinta.
Yeah. It will never be that blue. It will never be that blue. you
No.
know? So
No.
that's the speciality of it. But yeah, so the masks themselves also depict their sky beings that visited them. And so you have to kind of almost look at tribal stuff now as also the sense that they're embodying not just spiritual entities, but entities that they could embody in the physical realm as well. Yeah.
That's hectic.
Do you have
man.
any stuff on Egypt in this little?
I do.
That's-
I was looking about it.
So this
That's
one's
Sirius B.
this one's wild.
Yeah.
I saved the best to last, actually.
Oh, my
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Everything to do with Egypt
Yeah.
fascinates me more than anything.
Also, the Dogon
ever.
predicted that Jupiter had 4 moons and Saturn had rings before science even
Not bad.
saw
Not
them
bad.
as a thing.
When you say
So-
Not bad,
predicted,
Dogons.
did they? How could they make a prediction like that? Did they?
or they just said there is a planet, big, this position in the sky, 4 companion moons, and there's also another one near it that has rings.
Wow.
Do you know what I was thinking? Imagine 1,000 years ago, right? How clear the skies would have been.
Mm.
Yeah,
How
that
clear
would
the
have helped.
skies would have been. And they're organic, free-range humans, bro.
Yeah,
Their eyes are stronger.
yeah,
We got phones 24/7 in our
Yeah.
face, scrolling like morons,
yeah,
Not to say that our eyes aren't going to get bigger like those aliens and we're going to turn into the
Yeah.
aliens of the future
yeah.
or something, but like
Yeah.
the skies would have been, there's no light pollution, bro.
That's it.
You would have been able to see these planets, these
Yeah.
stars, these rotations.
Yeah.
They had plenty of time. They were trying to figure out their bearings.
I also believe in the concept of morphic resonance. Have you heard of that term?
Morphic
No.
resonance.
So essentially, that the human mind doesn't actually exist in the brain. It's actually almost everywhere at once.
It's like
and
a
that
hive
even,
mind.
Yeah, well, even the sun could be a conscious being.
Yeah.
And so knowledge imparted to people who aren't necessarily like rational, they draw knowledge from everything around them
Source.
more than we do. It's not unusual to find people like this having insanely like profound predictions that relate to science as we know it today.
I
yeah.
believe that.
So yeah, I guess while we're on this Wikipedia page, the Lonnie Zamora case, just quickly, craft landed in 1960s, shaped like an egg.
Yep.
There we go.
It's a good case.
It's a really good one. I love
There's
it.
a lot leftover scorch marks and the imprints of the landing gear.
Artist's
Yep.
impression of a UFO base.
Strange
Some
symbol too.
claims. They reckon that's what it looked like.
Yeah, which to me it looks like nothing any military I know of. It's
Egg
just-
shaped.
it's comical. It's
Come
almost
on,
comical.
bro. You should have at least like run it through ChatGPT. It's like a Malakia photo, bro.
Lucky.
It's all right, but like, come on, bro. It's 2016 photo.
For all we know, that's the horizontal axis that we see it on, but like the top-down view from the helicopter footage of Jake Barber,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it literally is an egg, and you sort of see it roll, so you sort of see it
Look,
sideways.
yeah.
It's an egg.
That would
It's an
roll.
egg.
Yeah,
I don't know about the stilts. The stilts maybe retract or protract.
They
What do you
definitely
reckon
would,
yeah.
these guys are doing? It's an egg.
Yeah, it's a spherical egg, right? So it's
Yeah.
like it's not like an egg that can stand like an egg can.
But they're saying it's got these little struts that come out of it or something to support it.
So like oval egg, should I say? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just getting out of that. That doesn't really have any other photos, but yeah, that is quite interesting. That happened in Mexico. All right,
Yep.
next one.
All right. So The Chuli papyrus is a really interesting one because for this one, this is one that is really, really interesting in that it happened. The recording as it occurred happened 3,500 years ago during the reign of Thutmose III, who was a very powerful, well-known pharaoh who documented everything. And so the story goes, the Vatican director of antiquities at that time found the papyrus relating to this case, described in what's called the Chronicles of the House of Life, recorded by Thutmose and his vassals, describing the story about how strange discs appeared in the sky, and they stayed there for days, and they were observing us. So, so basically, we can read the top here. You know, Alberto Chuli was the curator of the Egyptology Department of Vatican Museums, which is a very interesting coincidence. Discovered a papyrus in the pavilion of Cairo. After he died, his brother took over, and this is where this is where it may have been lost in translation at this point. It's where people kind of dispute it because we don't have the document now, and it could be a forgery. But let's just all keep an open mind and say, you know, this is really interesting anyway that we have the curator of the Department of the Vatican Museums. Vatican knows how obsessed it is about collecting things like this all the time.
They do.
It's really, really interesting. So this is as the story goes, as written on in hieroglyphs. So on the 22nd, the third month of winter, the 6th hour of the day, one of the chroniclers, the scribes of the book of the House of Life, which is the chronicle that Moses is recording, discovered a strange disc approaching from the sky. It has no head. The breath from its mouth emitted an unpleasant odor. So in a lot of UFO cases, they describe a really foul smell from some of these craft. This is not unheard of. Its body is about 50 meters long and 5 meters wide. So that fits the description of some of the scale of these craft.
Cylindrical as well.
Cylindrical. It has no voice. It headed towards the king's house. Their minds became confused. They hit themselves in the stomach. As in, like, they hit themselves in the stomach to go, like, what is going on? Because ancient Egyptians, they thought with their hearts and their bodies. So when you're thinking about your mind, body, soul, like, they're very connected to their organs.
Yeah.
So
maybe if their stomach dropped because they're like, this thing's going to the king or the pharaoh, he's going to try to.
Yeah, they would feel
knock
anxiety, like in their belly,
Anxiety.
and they would have mean that, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, I mean, they're the ones that, once again, ancient correspondents, they realize that you think with the heart, and they've realized now there actually is neurons in the heart. So
when your heart drops, it means you're feeling something, man.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yep. So really interesting. So they go back to the pharaoh. The pharaoh ordered to look up in the chronicle the House of Life, and the king reflected on what was going on. After days have passed, they appear in the sky more than ever before. They shine brighter than the sun and extend to all four corners of the sky. Soldiers and pharaohs watched together. After dinner, the saucers soared high into the sky to the south. Fish and other plankton poured down from the sky, a strange thing unknown since the construction of the country.
Wow. It's almost like a peace offering or something.
Maybe, but I've also heard about the gravitation of these things bringing up sea animals and then dropping them.
So if it came from the water, then it just
rose up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, if we're talking about the Nile as well, it's full of stuff like crocodile. You could probably see it from a mile away if it fucking dropped a crocodile.
100.
So Pharaoh ordered incense to soothe the hearts of Amun-Ra, the god of two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, and ordered that this event must be recorded in the House of Life Chronicle forever. So yeah, this happened in 1480 BCE, and the time of Thutmose III, height of the Egyptian rule. And the rest is kind of lost in details because, you know, obviously we don't have the document now, and it's been, you know, pushed, and it really required a lot of guys like Eric von Daniken to really start to, like, you know, get into public knowledge.
Yeah.
He wrote Chariots of the Gods.
Yep. So, it's a speculative one, but I think it's really, really interesting to look into.
All accounts, you know, you got to take all this stuff seriously because these guys that was 1,500 years ago, well, 1,500 years before Jesus Christ.
Well, and it's describing all contemporary things around UFOs, like they're both sky, land, and ocean craft appearing, and they're disappearing into the ocean or soaring into the sky. So
we're land mammals, man. We look in the sky, we're just like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
You know, for thousands of years, like, what is going on?
Yeah. You know, when yourself, Trent, and I were at the Egypt exhibit, we saw hieroglyphs that look like UFOs above buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
There's a lot out there, and I think now because we're in this age that we're in now, people are questioning it more and more, and all the information's here, and these guys did their best to keep it going, and now we've kind of like able to have access everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you going to spend your time on? Looking into this, or you want to scroll TikTok?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you scroll TikTok, you find out about this stuff too.
That's
so
right.
it's good. It's just where you're putting your energy into.
Yeah, man, it's why I know what I know, because I don't care about Facebook or pictures on Instagram. I'm just doing this day in and day out when I obviously have time, which is more than likely in the bathroom. Not gonna lie. But yeah.
So we've got a video here. UAP recovery video shows egg-shaped object.
Ooh.
So
Should we give it a watch?
basically this is, but
Jake
also, Jake Barber context.
Yep.
American Special Forces contractor, has a very decorated resume. It sounds like he's James Bond if you just read his resume. Really credible soldier. Was tasked as a freelancer to move, I guess, sensitive government material.
Yep.
As a helicopter pilot, that was his trained specialty.
That's right.
And they don't tell him what he's carrying.
He doesn't know. He's just executes the mission.
Just executes the mission, and this is the footage he's decided to sort of come forth with, and said that he had a religious spiritual experience while
News Nation claims that they independently obtained the footage.
Okay.
Yeah, not Jake Barber.
Okay, yeah. That's,
But he's attached to it because he was flying it.
Yeah.
and he had a similar experience that lady in
Chris Bledsoe.
Yeah. Oh no, the lady that you talked about before. The
Penturk.
orb.
Yeah, Penturk.
Yeah, with Penturk. So let's get this going.
News Nation has independently
Good old Ross.
obtained
What's going on, mate?
previously unseen video obtained from a secret UAP craft retrieval program. This extraordinary footage clearly shows an egg-shaped object dangling in a sling below the belly of a helicopter.
Just hanging around.
Very reminiscent of the Lonnie Zamora egg.
Let's slow this down to take a closer look. That's an egg-shaped UAP suspended from a 150-foot long line. We're told the craft is about 20 feet long. The egg suspended in a cradle. And look how careful the pilot is as they bring their precious cargo into land. Let's freeze frame here to look at one of the clearest images of a UAP ever taken. This is no blurry light in a distant sky. The source of the footage putting themselves at incredible risk to record this UAP retrieval. Look at how perfectly smooth the craft is. No markings at all, and no visible means of propulsion or way to see inside. Watch how it rolls, almost graceful as it hits the ground, despite being wrapped in the ropes and canvas from the cradle as it's dropped for pickup. The UAP's final destination still unknown.
So the egg was
It's
just
compelling footage. There's no denying that. But at the same time, it's still just as underwhelming as fucking grainy footage is anywhere else. Like
he was saying it's the best footage that they've got.
Yeah,
But it's still not good enough.
It's not. We need to see White House front lawn. You know what I mean? Like aliens going, "What's up?"
Aliens talking to Trump. I want to see aliens coming down, having a conversation with Trump. Trump's going, "These are the tremendous aliens. These are the best aliens. These are the good guys." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's either that, or he's going to say we're going to go to war with the aliens. Which one?
So I have a date for everyone here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the arrival, for
Something.
the introduction, for
Something.
what's going on, guys?
Easter 2026.
2026.
That's soon.
Easter 2026. So Chris Bledsoe recently did the Sean Ryan podcast, and it was the first. I guess it's so funny to even say this. Mainstream. It's the tides are changing when you call a podcast mainstream.
Joe Rogan's very mainstream, I would
Yeah,
say.
but it used to be you used to hear mainstream and you're thinking Channel 7,
Of course, yeah.
Fox
TV.
News in
It's TV.
America. You know, like it had to be TV, but it's now podcasting because people don't give a fuck about mainstream news outlets. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit on bullshit.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Chris Bledsoe has been in my radar for a number of years now, and I've never really been more than a headline with him. I see his stuff and I see his clips, and I'm just like, bleh, move on. Because it's always some religious aspect. And I'm just like, as soon as I hear religion, I'm just like, next. And I guess I was forced to sit down and really give a shit about this guy because I watched the Sean Ryan podcast because he has guests on that are like, because he's got that military angle. He's got some really, really.
He was a Marine?
He was something. I don't care enough not to know. But he's a guy who held a gun and did some bad guy things and
Pew,
blah,
pew,
blah,
pew,
blah.
pew.
Pew, pew. But Chris Bledsoe was on this podcast and he dropped a date, and it was, and again, he talks about this like he said it was the second coming of Jesus, and I was like, bro, like don't come mainstream and then say Jesus is coming on
Project
fucking-
Bluebeam
on
shit,
Easter.
bro.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But
Jesus
what I-
Resurrection Easter 2026.
Yeah.
But I don't think his, again, this is his worldview interpretation of Christianity and religion and his experience. Because his experience is probably one of the most profound ones. And he goes into at length what his story is on the pod. And I'm not going to lie, I watched it and I was bored. And I was like, again, next. So I'm not even asking anyone who's listening to go listen to it. But all I know, because I watched a clip of the podcast that I couldn't be fucked watching, was that he stated that some really incredible date is going to happen when a particular star, like Romulan, is going to align with the Sphinx.
That's
And-
interesting. This
and
is the
it's
keeper
so-
of knowledge.
And it so happens to be on Easter 2026 when this star aligns directly with the Sphinx. And guess what? This is where it gets kind of interesting. Now I started paying attention. If you look at some of the, are you familiar with like military patches that define like what group you're part of?
Yep.
There are 2 military patches, one of which is attached to Space Force, that distinctly show the Sphinx and a star.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's all the patch is. It's all the patch is a Sphinx looking at a star.
That's one of the coolest patches. I want one.
Space Force patches, to type in Sphinx and Romulan or Romulus or some fucking Star Trek sounding shit.
This is so Stargate. It's crazy.
Hey, I'm actually so amped for the remake of Stargate.
Really?
Yeah.
I love
movie
Stargate.
Stargate?
Okay, so yeah, that's a bit strange.
That's
Look
the,
at
that first
Look
one.
at that.
That first one is one of them.
That is the coolest.
And
fucking
that
patch.
is
What is
this. That
going
last
on?
one is the second one.
That is the coolest patch.
No, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's this one there.
The first one.
That one there. Look at that.
Dude, what?
Why is that on a patch?
What's going on there?
Why is that on a patch already?
It's like
Space Force knew exactly what they were doing when they designed their intelligence unit
Yeah.
patch.
There's always
it's a very strange one
very
to pick.
pointed.
Wow.
It's hidden in plain sight. Like something is remarkable about the Sphinx and that star, and Chris Bledsoe being like, "Oh yeah, by the way, next year on on Easter, we're gonna have that alignment specifically.
Wow.
And that's when massive disclosure is going to occur.
Something's gonna occur. Some enlightenment of some kind." It's really funny. Someone clipped
So interesting.
Indiana Jones going into a tomb and getting like this ruby on a stick, and the light hits it at the spring equinox, and specifically, and the light blasts onto the back wall and is like, and it gets into the next cave, and the enlightenment's all in there, and they're like, this is exactly what that is. This is like what it could be. Like this is something out of a movie.
That's crazy, man.
Go out to the second.
Space
I'll show you the
Force.
second patch. The second patch was there as well.
I'm going to get that patch made and put it on.
This
a
one?
jacket.
No, that one in the middle, right there, the blue one. Yeah,
That one?
Yeah. National Air and Space Intelligence Center.
Once again, same symbols.
Same symbols and
That's
a triangular
actually,
craft.
that's on the actual National Air and Space Intelligence Center website.
Yeah, look, scroll down.
Let's have a look at the crop.
Go find it. Go find the
Where is
patch.
that patch?
It'll be in there somewhere.
Oh, no.
Your dogs.
All right, just go back. Just go back. Don't click on the image, man. Just get back. Just look at that.
Yeah, it's hectic.
It almost kind of resembles the craft in that Hamburg image.
Yeah. But seriously, these exist. These are
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
patches that have had. You don't just make the patches
Sphinx.
because, like, let's just put some random
flying
imagery.
paper
You know, go to
aeroplane
Dali or
/B2 bomber.
Midjourney, come up with some bullshit patchwork. It's like there is active intelligence behind why they do
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah, I'm curious about the octopus there too.
And isn't that fascinating that Chris Bledsoe comes out and says, well, there's an alignment of this specific date with this specific star with the Sphinx. And then people like sleuths online are like, hold on a second, I've seen this before. And they pull up these patches, one of which is connected to Space Force. Like, what?
Yeah.
Riddle me that. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys, but there's something funny and weird and connected about all of this shit.
Also, triangular craft have been seen in some interesting cases. Yeah.
These patches are all triangular craft patches,
Yeah.
especially this one. That's the full triangular.
Some of them are
Space operations.
huge. Some of them are absolutely huge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the one that Kurt Russell
What's
saw.
that? That's
above
bam.
Phoenix.
You know what that is? That's Orion. What are those
Yeah.
arrows pointing to? There's the arrows. Orion is the archer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is what Giza's set up for. So
Yeah. That's true.
that's crazy.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? So maybe each one of these, that's a different star system in itself. That could be a different star
The
system.
bear one just looks like a local high school hockey team.
Yeah. Go Bears.
We were talking about this earlier where there's like
Oh,
what
the
they
next
look
phase.
like.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Let's go into here. So we
Dude,
got the
MIB.
So the
yeah.
Alpha Draconians, the what is it?
what's going on? Why can't I zoom?
Notice how the Andromedans, which is our closest galactic neighbor,
Yeah.
look just weird. You know, like they're humanoid, but they're kind of shit looking.
Yeah.
You know, we are way prettier.
Yeah. I
Oh,
can see
yeah.
I can see the Pleiadians. They're what's called the tall whites.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're chillers.
And Pallades is coming up a lot in so many
tall
different
whites.
things.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's connected, but I just hear about Pallades and the star system itself.
Well, it's speculated that they may have been flying the one that Fravor saw.
What I don't love is that this is way blurry. I've tried
blurry.
to load it in 4K and see if that helped it.
I found this.
It doesn't.
Too.
Alpha
But I
Draconians,
looked everywhere
BM.
for a full like high res version of it.
We can't make out what these bits are, but we can make out just their names. So we've got the Amphibians, the Andromedans, the Arcturians. I know people that say they're from Arcturia.
Hold on. I can see
Atlantis.
here something member of the Galactic Federation
Of light, yeah.
which is coming
Are
up.
you a member, cuz?
Well, I was a member of the Gaia, who I found out about this Galactic Federation of Light from, but now I'm unsubscribed because that is a shitty, grifting fuckfill of stupidity. And I was like, all of it is bullshit now. Fuck off.
But Gaia has nothing to do with the Galactic Federation of Light.
I like to think that the Atlans actually have that exact accent you just had. Like, oh, you with us, bro? Fucking.
Cuz I swear, I'm an Atlan, all right? You going to buy this acai bowl or not?
Yeah, look at him. He looks pretty staunch.
Yeah, big
Look at
time.
his eye.
What a head. Setons?
Yeah.
Setians.
Yeah, look, Gaia's interesting channel. Maybe there is some good content on there, but man, there's a lot of grift on that
maybe
channel.
5%. 5% good and then 95% grift.
Man. So much grift
So
in the space.
Lyran's is a cool one because the Sphinx looks directly to the constellation of Lyra.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Okay.
there's a lot of anecdotal blah, blah, blah
There's lots of line headed.
about why the Sphinx is a lion.
Men
Yep.
in black.
Oh, yeah,
just-
they're creepy.
Yeah, they got no eyes.
The people have been visited by the MIB, the real Men in Black.
So Moon
Yeah.
Eyes. I want to talk about Moon Eyes for a second because I, again, ADD,
Avatar.
not that I have been diagnosed for it, but I get so wrapped up in one thing and then I sidetrack immediately and 2 hours later I'm coming back to this. But I talked about Jason Sands and
Yeah.
James Fox.
Yeah.
Remember? Well, Jason Sands was on Rogan talking about his direct encounter
Yeah.
with a blue-skinned being he was wanting to help. He was like in the middle of a field close to a military base. They were doing their rounds and he's like, oh dude, this guy's lost. He looks like he's wearing fatigues. Like he was wearing like combat
Army
fatigues.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got
Yeah.
right up to him. He got real close. And that's when he noticed, oh, this guy's blue skin and bug eyes.
Avatar.
And as you can see, he's kind of the most human looking one of them.
That may not be
Moon Eyes or Nordics?
They're similar, but one of his servicemen was shocked. He has no ears.
Yeah.
They yelled, "He had no ears." It's
Yeah.
so they
the
found a
Nordics
man by the road.
They don't have ears, the Nordics.
No, the
Moon
Eyes.
the
Moon Eyes.
one picture that, but without ears.
Oh, okay.
That's what Sans saw, and like they were warned about this guy from like townspeople nearby who were like, "There's something weird going on in the mountains there." There's a guy who's kind of, not right.
Syrians, they don't have ears. Not the actual Syrians.
We know.
From Sirius? I'm serious, bro.
Yeah, Sirius B.
Yeah.
Sirius A.
Sirius A.
Yeah.
Fucking Sirius can't.
Dogon.
But I actually don't think the Syrians are from Sirius B. I think there's another one in here somewhere you can kind of make out through the blurry bullshit writing.
The Terros, that's like the elongated skull cone head, right? That's like those Caracas skulls
Yeah,
in Peru.
yeah. Who they're the ones that seeded the elite class in Peru.
That's right.
There was a revolt in some of those places. I think like Corral, where they find these elongated head skulls. They're in a pile. Their heads have been smashed.
I went to Paracas. I've been around there. I didn't get to purchase one of those heads, but what a head it would have been.
Well, yeah, apparently you can just buy them in the street.
That's
like these mummies.
all the billionaires kind of got the good ones.
Yeah.
Apparently, imagine that. Guys, check out what I got. I got an elongated skull in my basement. Like that's what they wanted to show off.
But there was an uprising among I think normal people, or humanoid people were like, "Fuck these guys," and they like massacred them
because they were probably the subservient. They were the overlords, and then they were probably the slaves.
Yeah.
Some kind of a revolt, kind of like was similar with the with Enki and the What were the people that were going against them?
Yeah. Enki and Enlil.
Yeah, Enki and Enlil. What were they called? The kind of a little bit reptilian. The workers.
For
the Sumerians. There was a race under the Sumerians.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I forget the name.
Yeah, I forgot the name too.
But
that's why they created the human race, because those guys revolted.
Yeah.
Remember?
We're talking about Anunnaki.
Yeah, we're talking about Anunnaki.
Yeah, Anunnaki. Yeah.
Yeah, lost on me. I want to point out the mantis ones for a second here.
Mantis.
Do
you guys know who Emery Smith is?
Yep, I know the story.
So he's talking. I remember I can't remember what he was talking about. He was talking about how he was like the reason why he rose the rank and got more and more restricted access was because he didn't ask questions. He did his job exactly how it was. And he was taking samples, like biologic samples from things that were in pieces. So he didn't quite even know what the full pieces made up, but he was, cataloging biologics of some kind.
Yeah.
And that was his role, but that has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. But nonetheless, that's why he was a part of this. And we're talking about him being in like underground bases beneath like Groom Lake, and essentially where humans and other species coexist and like share the same halls to walk up and down into different rooms and laboratories and stuff. And he describes that mantis, like giant praying mantis sized species, when you first see them, the sheer horror of seeing them is so overwhelming that people would just stop.
Jump off a building.
Yeah, well, not quite kill themselves, but they would stop in their tracks and they would legitimately freeze out of genuine fear. Because imagine
a humanoid mantis,
but they're so much bigger. They're like 9 foot tall.
Fuck that, bro.
They're so big. You look up at them and they've just got these giant like mandibles that have pincers on them. And like if you see a mantis now, like a regular praying mantis, they can hold like birds.
Yeah,
like their strength is so powerful. They can go toe to toe with scorpions, spiders, birds, frogs. Doesn't matter. They're like, I got you, bitch.
They're pretty
So can you imagine a 9 foot version of that? Ooh. You would be nothing to them. They'd be like, I'm just gonna cut you at the neck. Just bye.
Bro, imagine how if you put that against like a marine. How many Marines that they'll mince them.
Yeah.
It'll just mince them, bro.
Ooh, do you guys know the Battle of Dolce?
And Cabana?
No. Dolce Air Force Base.
No.
DULCE.
No.
What happened there?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty fucking cool. There was a guy.
Bring it up, Jamie.
There's a guy. I'm lost on his name for the moment. I guess it is nearly 2 a.m. I'm very tired.
Are we done with this? This one?
Yeah, you can be done with that. But basically, he came forward, did a press conference stating about the battle of Dolce Base, where humans were fighting for their lives against another species, essentially at a base. Something went down in a cohabited base. Somebody did something to somebody, and shit went down. And humans got demolished, like absolutely evaporated. Like the weaponry that these species had, literally eviscerated you into just a pool of blood, like evaporated you. And you can imagine how many security personnel are at high security bases shared with another species. They're probably armed to the teeth and have the numbers and still got absolutely demolished.
Decimated.
Yeah. And anyway, so this guy went public and then he got killed.
By a mantis?
No, as in like he got offed by...
Yeah, I know. By his own people probably for talking.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it's an interesting coincidence to die after...
Just surviving. Some crazy attack.
Yeah.
In the next photo that you've got lined up here, we've got the Anunnaki, man. They look like Ultra Chads of the future. I don't know what's going on. Giga Chad, Mega Brain, Giga Chad, Neuralink.
Least of the past, all the images of them depict them with eyes like that.
Isn't it funny how jacked he looks?
Yeah,
look at those chiseled jawlines. Like he has like 200 grams of protein a day.
Flex in it, cuz. Yeah, he's like
maybe 300 grams of protein a day. He's on keto for sure. He fasts.
This guy's eating humans probably, bro.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
They're big units.
Far out.
And like I love how they got Caucasian as the Earth version of what it is, but we're just bald. Like everyone's got receding hairlines.
Yeah, I mean Telosian, you wouldn't even look twice.
Sorry, white folk.
Yeah, Alpha Centauri, Telosians. Yeah, he was like, it's just my neighbor.
Yeah, it's like weird head, but
no, you bullshit. Look at all of them up into the Sirius B one. All of them could be mistaken for humans.
Yeah, easily. Like these guys just have big foreheads.
Like the Platey guys.
Yeah.
They could just be
extra
ugly
lunar
humans.
surface. Yeah.
And even the Sirius B guy, however you pronounce that, Ashkeru.
But they're also not taking into account skin color because the Anunnaki obviously have different skin color.
But even if you saw him, dude, you would straight up be like, "Oh, you're just deformed a little."
Yeah,
you wouldn't even question it.
Your mum dropped you when you were a kid.
Yeah, you just got a little.
You're still my mate.
Yeah,
yeah,
just a little squashed.
Just fucking suplex today. Fucking hell.
What you suplex?
Suplex the baby.
Right,
this is what I was talking about before. This is what if Stonehenge. So look at that image.
Oh yeah, aliens land.
It literally looks like
supermarket.
And it's funny. It's kind of like a funny caricature because like it's like airport security. Like everyone's putting their baggage into an X-ray machine, and then you scroll down, and then you see like
too much biological material.
Stonehenge.
Yeah,
you're like,
I love it.
I wonder.
That's funny.
Yeah,
like it's not the craziest. What if? What did you do?
What's going on here? Do I have to press play?
It's already played.
Yep.
So you can actually see the micro adjustments of the camera, which is what I like to see. It doesn't look... Because I have a telescope in my backyard. You cannot leave it pointed at something. Like everything's moving.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Earth rotating or whatever you're pointing at is moving. Like you're always micro adjusting what you're looking at.
Right. Yeah. So they're zooming in now.
Yeah.
So minute movements.
Look, so can you guys see the dot that's moving? It's the blue dot to the left, just on the tip. Yeah,
just
that
there.
one. That one there.
Yeah. It's there.
And then you can see the zoomed in version of it. And it is, because as you know, like...
That's the Earth-sized planet that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Saturn's just enormous, huh?
Earth-sized object.
It's moving at insane pace.
It is quick. Whatever that is enormous and quick.
Yeah.
What is going on there, mate?
And it's so funny because like a sense of scale is just like, how do you, like that looks turny.
I mean, to put into context, how big is Saturn, by the way?
Saturn's massive,
Saturn
man.
is a gas
you know
giant.
what?
Those rings are bigger than Jupiter.
One of the gas giants.
Do you guys know Metal Ball
Smelly.
Studios?
No.
It's a YouTube channel that does like scale of X versus scale of Y.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe you don't know this. Like surely you know Metal
I
Ball
probably
Studios.
would have come across it. Do you have an example?
Can you go to open up a duplicate tab to this?
A duplicate tab.
Yeah, so you right click it and then say duplicate tab. Duplicate. 2 down.
Fuck, right.
So you can leave that other video running whilst now go out of this and just click this, just search the little, magnifying glass and type in Metal Ball Studios, one word. Okay, or 3
Who's that
words.
woman? Why is she popping up?
And then space.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
And then type in Eros, EROS.
Eros.
So the first video that should come up. Yeah, this one. So
looks like a turd.
This is the perfect definition of the scale of Earth to an object this size compared to the city of New York. Like, think about, this is the second largest near-Earth object that we have in our solar system. This is just floating around in our solar system. That is enormous, right? Arguably enormous. But do you think it's big enough to be seen next to Saturn the way that other object is? And look how big it is to the city. Mm-hmm. So think about how big that blue dot is compared to Saturn if we can see it through a telescope and it's emitting some kind of light.
That's the size of our planet.
Dude, the thing
That's
in that
massive,
video
dude.
is enormous.
You wouldn't be
because
able
look
to
how
see
big this just as an asteroid. Look at the size of it compared to New York, and look at it. Look at the asteroid compared to the Earth around it. So, like, pause the video just before it gets like to New York, and just see how small it is really to the Earth.
You can't even
like
see curvature.
That would be just such a blip if you zoomed out. Like, it would be nothing. It would be nothing. You would not see that.
I mean, the one that took out the dinosaurs is way smaller than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that in itself is terrifying if we saw that. But think about now. Go back to the other video of Jupiter in the other tab.
Saturn.
Yeah, my bad. Saturn. Now really understand the perspective, the size of this thing.
It's huge.
Like, enormous.
Yeah, that thing is it's a Death Star.
It's Nibiru, cuz.
It's a Death Star. It's a Death Star size something. It
Yeah.
is ridiculously big.
Nibiru.
And if you skip in the video, it actually goes through the rings. Like, it goes into the rings. Like, it has an intelligent flat path.
Just bulldoze through it.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine just
These rings,
through a
Yeah. I wanted to talk about a few things, but
USOs.
maybe we can save that for
Pod 2.
next week or in 2 weeks' time, because you guys wanted to come back in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a pod before that.
Done.
And
Yeah.
then
We'll start with USOs.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a
USOs.
list and we'll just pump it out. The stuff that
Yeah.
There's a few things I'd love to talk about, and they're pretty hot topic now. So maybe in 2 weeks those super new things will be a bit more apparent, and we'll have a bit more knowledge on it.
We will have an update.
Yep.
Because Senator Luna, she's a Republican or a Democrat, I can't remember what. She's posted literally yesterday. She's like, I have a huge announcement next week. It's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to release it. And everyone's like, oh, great, an announcement of an announcement. Eat shit. Stop doing this. And that's what UFO Twitter is all about. It's just, I know this and it's coming soon. It's like, shut the fuck up. Just say the thing. Don't announce an announcement.
It's hard for me to get into that shit, because I just love images, right? And this image that you brought up that we forgot to talk about is Mars. Two completely 90-degree angles. Looks like it's covered up. Looks like it's a fucking base of a pyramid, man, on Mars. And like, to see right angles in a place that's not supposed to have any form of life.
And it's also a short hike away from the famous face on Mars.
Okay, guys, eat a dick for a second. Let me finish. So,
What do you mean?
I wasn't done. I had something to tell you.
Did ya?
Yes. So, this announcement is allegedly going to be a brand new department that will, this is what we are hearing in the grapevine, be a declassification department that specifically works with the Trump administration to declassify the RFK files. The JFK files.
Yep.
The Roswell, Project Stargate, like all the fun things that we want, and also all the like economic and political things too, I'm sure, no doubt.
Yep.
But all the cool shit will have its own department to get like unlocked for the first time in history.
So you're saying the Department of Declassification?
I don't know what it's going to be named.
Okay,
I'm sure it'll be named something cooler than that, but that's what Luna is alleged. Like she's said enough in a couple of other things that she's appeared on that say that it's going to happen, and it's going to be very UFO friendly.
Fuck yeah, that's mad.
Yep.
Well,
Nice.
Look, if that thing is right about 2026, that guy's saying that the stars will align and the certain things will align for Easter 2026, then it makes sense that they're going to get the ball rolling on these classification things.
Hell
Shit,
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely, they have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're
That
going to
lines
just blindside us.
Because I feel like this is a soft landing, and they couldn't do this in the 80s, they couldn't do this in the 90s, but today with tech, with AI, with
predictive
the way our
programming,
brains are
desensitizing us through Marvel films,
we're so
Star Wars.
desensitized.
Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, cool, aliens." Yeah, next.
Aliens, I gotta go to work tomorrow, bro. I don't have time for this shit, bro.
Cool.
I got a fucking mortgage
Old
to pay.
news.
Well, it was interesting that a lot of this stuff was released during COVID when everyone else was distracted, and they were like, "Well, they didn't really care that much,
No.
so maybe we can do a little bit more."
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So they're testing the waters, and I think the waters are ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be very interesting, and definitely we'll do another one really soon.
Oh, you can go back to your right angles, bro.
Yeah. So there's right angles in Mars.
All right, so there is still, it's a photograph, so it's one angle.
Yeah.
If you looked at it from another photograph, it probably won't look as nearly as square as that.
This is a
but-
satellite image.
satellite image,
Yeah.
but it's nonetheless very compelling because it is very close to the famous face on Mars.
Yep.
Where there are some
Cydonia.
where there is a bunch of interesting structures there, or structures in the sand. Well, even as a geologist, you're looking at that, and that's really cool.
What do they say? God doesn't create in straight lines.
But nature actually does in a lot of cases, but
Like pyrite,
yeah,
fool's gold.
yeah,
That's like 90-degree angles on steroids.
yeah. Well, anything next to the ocean, sometimes you see a lot of straight lines, stalactites.
Yep,
otherwise,
yep, that's
You see
right.
that stuff.
So it is possible. It is possible.
Mm.
But yeah,
It's very possible, but it's just weird that that looks very sharp in that
Yeah.
image.
looks like a base of a pyramid.
Uh-huh.
But who knows? Maybe, because there's a lot of folklore around Mars saying, in Roman mythology, it's the god of war. Then you got, stories of, the Lumerians and the Atlanteans and how I think the Lumerians were from Mars and they came here because they destroyed their own planet to
And-
seek refuge.
Oh, dude, I can't wait to get into the whole Mars was a wasteland, and this Project Stargate found the astral projecting coordinates of a million years ago at exact coordinates, and funnily enough, on Sean Ryan, the guy who did it, who did the astral projection back in the 80s,
Yep.
was on Sean's podcast saying, "Yeah, I was told a million years ago, go to these coordinates, and I saw like beings looking disheveled and scared and sad, and pyramidal buildings everywhere, and just howling winds, like no atmosphere in the sky, kind of something's going down."
Like they destroyed their atmosphere. Or
Like something
that.
did. And then there's something else I watched on Gaia when I had a subscription to that shit show, of a guy being like, so my one job, like I only have one job. I'm good at one thing, and that's recognizing certain molecules that are left over after any kind of like nuclear fallout.
Yep.
And he's like, a colleague of mine sent me, he didn't give me any context. He just sent me some images with all the data relevant and ready to go. It's like an infographic. And all I had to reply was like, "Oh yeah, how many nuclear bombs went off here? Was this one in the Pacific Ocean?" And he's like, "Nah, man, those readings are from Mars." And he's like, "What? Those molecules can only exist after a nuclear bomb reaction.
Carbon.
Yeah.
They
carbon
do
14.
not exist not naturally."
Have you seen
Yeah.
the giant scars on Mars?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. That looks like some kind of like a plasma
event.
plasma event went off and just
Yeah.
melted half the planet and just
Yeah.
cut it like a big cataclysmic event.
Robert Schoch actually supports that theory
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
The guy that pushed the prominent theory that the Sphinx has erosion that's like 30,000 years old,
Correct. Yeah.
Mm.
Robert Schoch.
or maybe 12,000 years old. But yeah,
Water.
he says there's like plasma strikes on Mars.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to get into that on the next one. That's for sure. Because there's plenty of good info on that. And, I've been well acquainted for the last 10 years on Mars. I just smoke a couple joints and just get lost in info. Back in the day about Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now Elon wants to go there, so we'll see.
I'm yet to see a really good sci-fi film about Mars.
Yeah, Mission to Mars, man. Garrison Need.
Oh yeah, that was actually all right.
It was terrible, but it was great.
That's the one with the alien. The end.
No, it's an alien, but it's like more like a force than it is an alien.
Oh yeah.
What about Stargate SG-1 and all those?
Actually, there's a movie just called Red Planet.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that one? Val Kilmer. Yeah. That one's creepy.
Yeah,
that one's crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
that's some cool special effects.
Yeah.
There's also The Martian, which is just like just hard science.
But that was a fucking awesome film.
It was a good movie, but
and funny. Like
it was funny,
crazy funny.
But nothing Twilight Zone fucking blowing your mind type shit.
No, but I don't think it was ever supposed to be like that.
No.
Yeah, because that was based on a book actually.
Based on a book. Yeah.
Very
I
cool.
rewatched Interstellar recently, and I'm like,
ooh,
like that was a good film. It's very sciencey.
Oh yeah,
very
I have
sciencey.
Strong feelings about that film.
I didn't mind it.
I thought it was cool. I thought it could have been a bit, like when you watch Space Odyssey, you're just like, yeah, like I don't even need to take acid. I feel high watching this.
Yeah, that's true.
Interstellar kind of was a bit more restrained. It kind of felt like, we're just talking about the science of things. Like,
But, okay, and then he's fucking floating through time and space and
Being
talking to his
emotional.
daughter through sand. Yeah, nah, bro, that's not begged in any science.
but they
fucking
even tried to make
Liberal
they even
shit.
tried to water that down. Look, they even tried to water that down a bit. Like in Space Odyssey when he's going through the fucking Stargate and he's like his mind is just melting.
Yeah.
He's keeping his sanity in Interstellar. How the fuck do you keep your sanity in that moment, bro? like oh yeah, I'm touching things.
Like touching the strings.
You know
of
what I
the
watched
universe.
recently that it's like an annual watch of mine. I love Contact. It's my
Good
favorite science
Don't
fiction
spoil it. I
films
need
of
to
all
actually
time.
probably watch it again. I was so young when I watched it.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
watch it again. It
Yeah,
holds up
it
so well.
freaked me out,
Young
man.
Matthew McConaughey's in it.
God dang.
Yeah, you'll fucking see him. You're like, oh shit, and he's a prominent part of that
Jodie
film.
Foster.
Jodie Foster,
Yeah, that's
Matthew
right, that's
McConaughey.
I want to watch
Gary
that on
Busey's son.
VHS, man.
Oh yeah, and the guy who's the bad guy in Alien, playing her dad, right?
Bad guy in Alien.
Yeah,
guy in
he's
Alien.
the android guy in Alien.
No, he's not in it. You're thinking
no,
Fassbender?
No. In the original Alien, in Romulus, like they get his head and he's reanimated.
Oh, that guy.
guy?
Yeah, no, I didn't
Yeah.
recognize him in this one.
Oh, I thought he was in
But
that.
there's another guy that's in like Entourage. That's the most known thing I know this guy in. But he's also in like all these war films and like you'd actually recognize him. He plays a blind guy in this film. You'd be like, oh, I know that guy. But yeah, it's really well worth a watch because it's the idea of, deciphering radio signals and then finding out that there's blueprints in them and then building something from those blueprints.
That's hectic.
It's so
That's
sick.
cool.
It's so cool.
I'd watch that movie.
And by the way, the sounds like so it's a Robert Zemeckis film. So it's like the guy who did Forrest Gump and all that. Like it's a good film, like a really good, well done film.
He did really well.
Yeah, and he did the sounds for the actual audio of the signal, and it's creepy. I don't know why, it gives me chills, shivers. Like it's a really creepy sound, even though I don't think it's supposed to be creepy, but it's fucking creepy. So yeah, just be prepared for that when you watch it.
Creepy. I mean, you can rewatch Signs and be creeped out the same way.
Again, another annual watch of mine. I love that film. I think that is M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong's fucking best film by a long mile.
One of Mel Gibson's best characters too.
And Joaquin Phoenix before he was unhinged.
Yeah. And he's playing a young dude, Joaquin. So you're like, damn, like how old was he in this? Like, what can he not do?
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
baby boy.
Well, I think we should wrap this up because it's 2:15 a.m. in the morning.
It's like
And
Into the witching hour.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
By the time you guys get home, it's going to be 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I reckon.
So it's been a pleasure as usual.
thanks, man.
And we'll definitely do this again very soon.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we'll cover some new hot topics that are coming. This is going to be one of the biggest things in the next couple of years. So
Yeah.
let's definitely just keep track on this and see how it plays out.
Easter 2026.
That's right.
Sphinx. Star
Maybe around Easter 2026 we should do a podcast.
Yeah.
just to fucking see what happens.
We're Egyptian
We'll
stuff.
go
We're
live. We'll go live.
Go live.
Yeah.
Or wear Egyptian outfits as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds good to me.
Definitely.
Like
I like
the,
that.
Any
Like-
excuse to dress up as the Pharaoh, cuz.
Shotgun Cleopatra.
Just wearing this hot Anubis thing. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck this.
That's so funny.
I'm sorry, but the intro of Rogan and Duncan Trussell wearing the furries, and them just the
that-
first minute of that episode
cracked me
is
up, man.
so funny. Just them talking as a wolf and a kitten.
Yeah.
Can you bring that
kills
up, please?
me.
I've not seen
They
that.
would have been melting, bro. They would have been so hot in there.
That's why they took it off. That's why it's like the
they took it off.
first minute is
Yeah,
funny.
they always dress
Yeah.
up, but they're the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap it up, guys.
All right, guys. Thank
Thanks
you for
so
coming
much.
on.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys. See you later.
Peace.
Thank you for staying.
Peace.
Bye.